Welcome back to the Karen Cave. I'm going to end my season this year, 2022, with my last batch of tomatoes. I've done so much with tomatoes this summer, but they've been so beautiful, and at the farmer's market, they've just been great. I don't know, I can't even explain the bunches of tomatoes. You walk in there and all you see is them, so how can you not want to do a great recipe or do some canning with them? Today I'm not going to be doing any canning, but what I'm going to be making is a tomato pie. It is delish. So just a small batch of some nice big slicing tomatoes. These came from Cuttle Farms here that are in Faison, North Carolina. So I kind of want to give them a shout out. They are on the way to the coast. So if you're on I-40, all the way from California to the end of North Carolina, stop in Faison sometime and meet these wonderful farmers. I picked up some of their tomatoes out at the farmer's market. So the simple recipe with this is there's some options with it. You can make your own pie crust, or you can have the store-bought pie crust, and we're going to do both. The pie crust recipe will be in my description below that I am going to use for my pie pan. It's basically some flour, some salt, a nice cup of cold ice water, and some butter that's cut up very cold, and we're going to mix that up kind of a little bit like we do with the biscuits. And the ingredients for your pie, you can get a little creative with this, but the basic recipe is some garlic powder, some onion powder, some fresh ground pepper that's mixed in this dish, some mozzarella cheese. I have 2 bowls of those. One's going to go in the mixture and one will go on the top. And then some mayonnaise. I use Hellmann's mayonnaise, and 3 eggs. So we will mix a combination of all of that. We're going to layer our tomatoes and our sauce, and then we're going to bake a beautiful tomato pie. I'm also going to make one in this pan here that comes out. It's just kind of like a quiche that you can make, and you can serve it up, and it's just a kind of a beautiful way to have a nice little lunch or breakfast with some friends or something like that and decorate it up. And I will use just the basic store-bought pie crust, which you can do. But again, I've got the homemade pie crust. So let's get our apron on and let's get started. Okay, to get started, we are going to go ahead and make our dough for our pie tin. I've already got the other dough set aside for the longer pan here. That is the store-bought dough. So what I have done here is I've added my flour and my salt together and just kind of mixing it together. Again, one thing we did with the biscuits is you don't want to handle the flour and the butter so much. So you can use a pastry cutter to get this butter mixed into it. I would just suggest using a fork or just actually taking your hands and pulling it apart and getting it to that crumbly stage. Kind of like we did exactly that Jonathan did when we were making our biscuits. Just break it up a little bit, use your hands to get it to that consistency, and then you're going to start adding your cold water. That's why we put ice in it. What I've done here is I've filled up a cup of ice, and then I've added water to it to make it a full cup. That way the water is nice and cold. So you'll start adding that water to this once you get the butter crumbled up to get it to a nice consistency so it makes a ball, and then you're going to roll it out for your pan. So I will speed this up a little bit, and we'll get to that point where we're going to have our pastry all made for our dough for our pie plan. Okay, there we have it. We've got a nice homemade pie crust, and it fits in that pan just perfectly when you roll it out. Make sure you're getting that 9-inch circumference. This is a larger pie crust that I made. Sometimes you can make the smaller ones. So anyhow, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator while we're mixing up our mixture. and then I'm going to pull it back out. And why do I do that? Because I want to keep that butter cold that's mixed in with this, because your crust is going to bake better when it's cold like that than getting the butter warm and mushy. So I'm going to go stick this in the refrigerator, and I'll be back and we'll start making our mixture, and then we're going to slice our tomatoes and layer it up and cook it. I have put my pie crusts, both of them, into the refrigerator while I go ahead and prepare our mixture and slice up these beautiful tomatoes. They are just nice and red and juicy. Again, I got these at Cottle Farm. If you're local here in North Carolina or you're coming through on I-40, it's straight heading to our coastline. If you're visiting the coast here in eastern North Carolina, you can stop at Cottle Farms, or you can actually stop in Raleigh. It's right off of I-42 is our farmer's market, and get some tomatoes. So I'm gonna slice these tomatoes up, and then we're gonna put our mixture together. I even went out in my garden and got some fresh basil that we're gonna put into this. So it's gonna be a wonderful tomato pie. And again, the end of the season for the tomatoes. We'll be right back. The tomatoes are all sliced, and we're ready to go ahead and prepare the mixture that we're going to put and layer in between the tomatoes. I just went out in the garden, and besides my basil, I grabbed some rosemary. Again, this is where you can get creative. You can add some things. You can take things and switch them around, or spices that you prefer. You want to put different things on here. So I'm just going to take a couple sprigs of rosemary and just drop it on these tomatoes and get it to stick to them before we start layering. I love rosemary, so I thought I'd go ahead and actually put some of this on there. You know, it's always fun to take some of your herbs that you're growing in your garden and even do some dehydration with them. I did that with my basil as well. Instead of using fresh basil, if you don't want to use fresh basil, I took my first batch of basil and I dehydrated it, and I've got a whole jar here of spice, so this will last me quite a while. And all you have to do is keep it in a airtight sealed jar after you've dried it, and this I've put through a strainer to get all the kind of stems out of it and everything, but I've got a nice full jar of basil if you don't want to use just the leaf in any of your recipes. So again, just adding some rosemary to this. So we're all ready to layer these beautiful red ripe tomatoes from Cottle Farm in Faison, North Carolina. Small town just right off of I-40. Okay, so in our bowl, we are going to put some Hellmann's mayonnaise. Get that in there. And we will whisk this all together, the entire mixture. So we've got some mayonnaise. This is some onion powder, some garlic powder, and some fresh ground black pepper. So there's about half a teaspoon of that. Again, I'll put the recipe down below. So we're adding that. And I'll also suggest I use Hellmann's mayonnaise. Everybody's got their favorite mayonnaise. And then again, we're gonna take 3 eggs and mix this into the mixture. So 1, 2, some nice fresh eggs. I actually get my eggs from a friend of mine who raises those beautiful chickens that give her so many eggs that she said, come on over and get some eggs from me. So take her up on that. So you can see that our mixture is getting kind of thick. Again, go ahead and add any extra spices that you want to your mixture that you think that it would taste well with it. I am going to go ahead and now add some mozzarella cheese. I have another side dish of mozzarella cheese that I will use for the topping as well. But this is about a cup and a half or so, I believe I've used here. Cup and a half. Again, a lot of things are done by eye with this recipe. My daughter loves to make this recipe, and she's got some beautiful tomatoes coming off in her garden as well. And actually, she's the one that got me started on this. And this is an amazing recipe. You can use it for breakfast, you can use it for lunch, you can use it for dinner, you can use it for anything. Take it to a party with you or a little gathering. Easy to make. Again, if you don't want to make your crust, you always can buy those store-bought ones, and you can actually buy them already in the pie tin. But And then I'm gonna add about, I don't know, 6 or 7 just different leaves of basil. I'm just gonna tear them up a little bit in here, make them a little bit smaller so they'll cook down as the pie is cooking. Got about 6 or 7 of those. So we've added some rosemary, we added some basil, and once we get our mixture all made here, I'll show you how to layer it, and that's really all there is to it. If you want to preheat your oven to 350, and then we're going to stick it in the old chamber stove and let it cook away. So that's what your your mixture looks like. It's not real thick. It's not super runny. If you want to add more cheese to it, obviously you can do that. I use mozzarella cheese. You can use any type of cheese that you like. It doesn't matter. Anything that tastes good to you, something that you'd like to try different is fine too. So let me get our pie tins back out of the refrigerator and we're going to start layering this and get them in the oven. Pie shells are still nice and cool, coming right out of the refrigerator, so it's perfect timing to add our tomatoes and layer it with this delicious mixture that we have here. I just got a little spoon to do that with. So the first thing that you want to do is layer the bottom of your pie shells with a layer of tomato. So we will start and just kind of go around the edge of this, like this. Don't you know this is just going to taste delicious? And again, season your tomatoes exactly how you want. If we wanted to add more rosemary to that, we can. I'm going to go ahead and get this all layered up here and kind of overlay these a little bit here. This is going to be delicious. This will be really fun. I'm going over to a friend's house tonight and I think I will take this with me. And we got that all layered there. So we all might get only 1 layer in there, maybe 2. So we're going to go ahead now and give it a layer of this mixture of mayonnaise and our spices in here and just put it over the middle of it. I'm going to add 1 more tomato here in the middle. Looks like a beautiful tomato flower. You've heard that term before with my cooking, making those tomato flowers when we were peeling all those tomatoes when we're doing the chili sauce. So just spread it out a little bit like that. And again, right down the middle here. Give it another scoop. In this recipe, it does call for 2 pie crust. So we've made enough here actually to make 2 pies. So you should have enough. And again, if you want to season this with something, some more salt, some more pepper, a different type of spice, go ahead, get creative. Nothing wrong with that. And let's put some more tomatoes on this. Stick this one right here in the middle. We've got 2 left. And I might take another layer to that so we can cut some up. So I never try to cut too many tomatoes because I don't want them to go to waste. But if we can use another tomato, I've got another one handy. So I'm just going to slice it up here and we'll add that to this long one. And then we're going to go ahead and coat it with some cheese on the top and get them in the oven for the final viewing of this wonderful treat. And this is really a great treat just to even have as a snack, if you want to have it as a snack. So again, we might resort to the last tomato here, the last tomato of the season, to give this also 1 more coat. So I'm going to just drizzle this a little bit here on top, spread it really well, the bottom, and then I'm going to give that a layer of cheese. I think what I'm going to do is add absolutely another layer of tomatoes to this. So we've gotten use out of all of our tomatoes, which is wonderful. Nothing's gone to waste. Get rid of the front one. And a tell you, these tomatoes, there's also another great recipe. The old simple tomato sandwich that you have in the summer. Slice those tomatoes, add a little salt and pepper. Sometimes you can add a little mayonnaise to them. Make a delicious, delicious, healthy treat during the summer. And we'll do one more slice for the middle. How's that? Make our beautiful pie. And I'm going to get the spatula out here so we can get all of this sauce and put it onto here. Just make sure your tomatoes are nice covered with it. You don't have to super saturate it, but after you make your first tomato pie and you see how it's turned out, again, you can adjust things how you want them. So I'm going to go ahead and take, we don't want to lose that wonderful basil leaf. I'm going to take this cheese here and give it a nice coating on top of this. And I'll do a little the same here. And then we're going to put those into the oven. But before I do that, I'm going to get a little creative with this one. And I'm going to go ahead and add some oregano to the top. I love oregano, so I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of it across the top so when it bakes, it just brings out that smell. After all, it's tomatoes. We should be making a spaghetti sauce with it, right? Don't tempt me with any more tomatoes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get the chamber stove door open and we'll put them in the oven. Okay, the chambers has heated up to 350 and we are going to put both of these in here. We've got enough room. Put that one in there. And we got this one right here. So we'll be back. As they bake and they get a pretty brown top, we'll take them out. Okay, we've been baking our tomato pies for about 20-25 minutes. And they look pretty amazing. I'm going to pull them out of the oven and see how beautiful that one looks. Put it over here on the table. And the bigger pie. Ooh, that oven is warm. Isn't that beautiful? Just a beautiful, beautiful tomato pie. Fresh out of the oven, your tomato pies. They are absolutely beautiful looking and they absolutely smell amazing. So I don't know about you, but I am ready to cut this one and have a piece of tomato pie and enjoy it. Again, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or just even a healthy snack during the day. Good old tomato pie. I hope you enjoyed this recipe and I hope you enjoy making it. Here's to tomatoes in 2022. Until next time, happy cooking. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you for joining me in the Karen Cave. I really enjoy sharing my family recipes with you and I hope you'll continue to come back. Please subscribe to my page and give me a thumbs up for those that you like. I look forward to next time. Until then, happy cooking.